Oh my goodness, y'all. This is Heather Vickery, and you are listening to the 100th episode of the Brave Files podcast. Yes, you heard that correctly. 100 episodes. Isn't that extraordinary? It feels a little crazy to believe, but we're so very excited over here at Team Brave to have been able to share all of these incredible stories. We've introduced you to amazing people, wonderful charities. We're raising awareness every single day, telling the stories of people who have stepped out of fear and into bravery in incredible and extraordinary ways. I couldn't do any of this without the amazing people at Team Brave. They work so hard to make the episodes come to live week after week. So thank you to Andrew, Mary, Kim, Megan, and Christina. From the bottom of my heart, I thank you for all that you've done and that you continue to do to bring Brave into the life of everybody who listens, and to all of those out there doing the brave thing every day, whether it's simply getting out of bed or starting new businesses across the board, whatever you're doing. I'm so proud of you. Thank you for sharing your brave stories with me. Keep them coming. You can call at 312-646-0205 and continue to share those stories. We love it, and it keeps us motivated and energized to do the work that we're doing. Y'all, this is a really special episode. I wouldn't even be podcasting if it weren't for this week's guest. And I couldn't think of anyone better to celebrate with than him. I can't wait to introduce you to my own coach and mentor, Anastasi. In this episode, Aaron and I talk about how commitment is the most important thing if you want to live the life of your dreams, and how to turn those dreams into reality by treating them like projects and putting systems in place. And one of my favorite parts of the conversation is when we talk about doing what only you can do and then spreading the rest around. Delegation, baby. This episode is chock full of brilliance, and it's also just a really, really fun conversation. Plus, there's a giveaway at the end, so be sure to listen all the way through, and then you can enter to win this adorable, wonderful prize that we have for you. Before we start the episode, though, I wanted to check in with you about something that I'm super, super passionate about, and that's the concept that brave is always greater than fearless. I know that when we take the time to understand our fears, to take them apart and dissect them, we begin to understand what our truest desires actually are. And only then can we begin to take action on those desires. And that, my friends, is very brave work. In fact, it's purposeful and intentionally brave work. And that's why I'm hosting Intentionally Brave Week. We're starting that on February 25th, and I'll be teaching my signature Brave method for free inside the Brave on Purpose Facebook group. You are not going to want to miss a single moment of this free training. So join us over at Brave on Purpose. You'll find the link in the show notes, or just head on over to Facebook and search Brave on Purpose. Remember that you have to answer all 3 questions and agree to the group rules to be added in. The group rules just basically say you're going to be a good person and not be a jerk. Super easy to do, but everything from then on out is free. And we have such an incredible group of people over there, and I can't wait to join you into our brave journey. It's going to be so much fun. So head on over to Brave on Purpose and join us for Intentionally Brave Week, where I'm going to be teaching the Brave method. And I know you want to know more about it, so I'm going to tell you more about it once you head on over to the group. But for now, let's get started and listen to the 100th episode of the Brave Files.
Adventurous, fun, scary.
This is Heather Vickery, and you're listening to The Brave Files, stories from people living courageously. When we choose bravely in big and small ways, it powerfully elevates our lives. I hope these stories connect with you and encourage you to embrace bravery in every possible way, day after day. Together, we can build a movement of courageous living that enriches both our lives and our communities. And if you enjoy the show, I ask you to please share it with others. Maybe think of someone who you want to choose bravely right alongside you. Thanks for tuning in. Now here's the show. Hey, everybody. This is Heather Vickery. Welcome to the Brave Files podcast. Y'all, this is our 100th episode. I am so excited. I can't even believe that we've been doing this so long, and I'm so proud to be bringing you the 100th episode. And to mark this momentous occasion, I wanted to bring on a really special guest. And quite frankly, I couldn't think of anyone better suited to come and share their personal journey than somebody who has been such an integral part of my personal journey. So today we have Anastasi with us. And Aaron is a best-selling author, the creator of the Superior Singing Method, a really fantastic actor, and also my very favorite coach and mentor. I truly wouldn't be where I am today without Aaron. And actually, that's literally the truth. He's gifted me the podcasting equipment that I'm using to record right this minute. So, Aaron, welcome to the Brave Files.
Thank you so much. I'm honored to be your 100th guest. And I, as you're saying that, I'm just like 100 episodes. I'm floored and proud and excited and all those things for you.
Thank you so much, my friend. We haven't had a chance to catch up in quite some time, but as I just told the listeners, you do everything. What don't you do?
I do a lot of things. I get really excited about something and I get very obsessed with it and I take it as far as I can take it.
All right. Well, so let's give everybody a little bit of a background. Who are you and how did you get to be somebody who you do all of these things really successfully? I should say that, folks. And to be fair, I know Aaron will share his own story. Not that it was always successful off the bat, but sure. Tell us a little bit about you and your journey to get here today.
Yeah, I'll give you kind of the brief and then we can dive in anywhere you choose. So I was born in California and I grew up in Orange County and had what I consider like a fun childhood of just like surfing and making music and all that stuff. And then I spent a year in Colorado as a snowboarder, actually as a professional snowboarder.
How do I not know that? That's amazing.
I actually don't talk about that very much. Usually people are pretty surprised about that one. It was short-lived though, because I got injured at the end of the season and I was a pro snowboarder for 1 year.
Oh man.
Yeah. And then did South America for a year, and I came back and I thought, you know what, I really want to go to school. And so I did my undergrad degree at a little college in Tennessee called Lee University. And then I discovered I had some academic gifting, and I ended up going to Princeton and doing a master's degree there. And then along that road, I was doing music and touring quite a bit at that time with a band, 2 different bands. For a while, I just called it the Anastasi band, and then after that I got some guys and we were calling ourselves Unsent Letters, and then it sounds
so angsty.
It's so funny you say that because it's exactly what it was. It was an emo band, a very angsty emo band.
We're gonna need a picture to put on the show notes of you and your emo phase. I think I've seen some.
Yeah, I 100% will send you one. It's like as emo as it gets.
That is awesome.
Yeah, and then let's see. So that after that, I was doing music, and I was planning on from Princeton. I was thinking I'm going to be a professor, and so I was all excited about that. But then I got a poor grade, and at the time, this is what a nerd and overachiever I was. I think I got like an A- or something.
That's a poor grade. You sound like my daughter.
I was such a nerd, but it wasn't. It might have been a B+, but I think it was A-. But anyway, the point is, it was the subject that I thought I was going to go into, and I got the worst grade of all of that semester in that class. And I thought it just gave me pause, and it kind of opened up some other opportunities. So along that same time, I published my master's thesis and also connected with like a major record producer. And I just had the thought, gosh, I wonder if I could just do like what I want, and especially like in artistic creative fields, and make a strong living and be happy and all that stuff. So I've kind of been doing that ever since. And that's
you've just been making it up as you go.
I 100% have been making it up as I go. I kind of see it like I'm just riding a wave. I was a big surfer growing up in Huntington Beach, surfer, skateboarder, snowboarder, so I see it like I'm riding a wave, and you never know exactly what a wave's going to do, but you just kind of keep pivoting and pivoting and pivoting and making it up as you go, because that's what I've done. That's 100% what I've done.
I love it. It works for you so well, and it's such an inspiration for me and so many people that I meet who they don't want to follow a traditional path, and they don't know if they have a choice. And Aaron is just the kind of person that you just show everybody, you get to write it. One of my favorite things that you've ever said to me, and we've had lots of conversations over the last several years, is that no one will ever do anything the way I do it. There can be a million coaches or whatever podcasts or writers or whatever, but no one's going to do what Heather Vickery does because no one else is Heather Vickery.
Yep.
And I love that. No one else is you.
Yeah, that because I used to get in my head a lot, and maybe probably still do, but certainly not like I used to, of being there. I used to think there's so much competition out there when I was doing music and now acting and coaching. There's so much competition. I was like obsessed with this idea of competition and what chances do I have and all that stuff. And it was actually I was working with a record producer at the time. And he said, "You don't have any competition." I was like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "There's nobody out there who is Aaron Anastasi, who is exactly you." And that had a really deep impact on me at the time. And I was like, "That's absolutely right. They're literally, I am one of a kind. All of us are one of a kind." And it kind of took that competition thing off of the plate and off of my obsessive mind.
I think that's really cool. So we have so many listeners. Not everybody who listens has a business, but we have so many who want to do multiple things, and you do them. I mean, you actively do them. Can you give us an example? I don't know. I know you've written 2 best-selling books, and I don't know if there's a third or more coming out. I have a feeling the answer is yes, but you can tell me. But how do you're big, unless this has shifted, I think your biggest passion is acting. Is that, yeah?
It's true. Yeah, right now, yeah.
All right. So, but acting, but you're a kick-ass coach, and you're writing, and you could tell folks what superior singing method is. And there's probably all sorts of other things you're doing that I don't even know about. How do you do all of that and prioritize it and do it all successfully without shit falling apart?
Yeah. So the way I've set up my life, I'm pretty systematic. I like systems, and I like schedules to a certain degree. I like a lot of flexibility within a schedule, but so let's just talk about the book really quick. The books. Okay, so the books, I basically just, it didn't take a ton of time. The time is like all the mental of like, can I do this? And is this going to suck? And are people...
That's so true.
That's where all the time is. But the actual writing time for me was, I set it, every morning I'd get up, I'd do my best work around this time, around 11:30 is when I get started. And I would just sit down and say, I'm going to just write 5 pages, and they can be absolute crap, and that's totally fine. I just need to put black, little things on this white page. It doesn't matter what it is, 5 pages a day. And I said, I'm going to do 5 pages a day. I'm going to do 2 pages a day. That's kind of my goal. So I didn't have to, but I was going to try and do, 2 pages a day at about 20 minutes, 40 minutes, something like that. My commitment was to get 10 pages at the end of the week. And so if I didn't finish that by Friday, I would work on the weekend and get those 10 pages done. Anyway, so I literally
wait. I have to interrupt you because you said something awesome that you're still to this day the only person that I've ever known say it, except for me, because you taught me to say it. Can you share with listeners the difference for you in a goal and a commitment?
Yeah, I think that commitment is the most important thing to getting the life you want above anything. Do the commitment to myself and to others is what I say, right? Gandhi says to have integrity is to what you think is what you say, and what you say is what you do. So like, am I aligned with what I say? Am I my word? When I say something, do I absolutely do it? So commitment is the most important thing, because when we break commitments, we lose confidence in ourselves. Other people lose confidence. And there's a whole thing with commitment for me that I could talk about for a whole podcast. But so the commitment is, I'm going to do this no matter what. And then for me, a goal is just, it's a focusing. It says, this is what I'm up to, And it kind of just puts a fire under my butt of like, this is what I'm up to. This is what my priority is. And I'm going to do everything I can to make that happen. Now, commitment is like, this will happen, period.
Yeah.
Goal says, this is what I'm up to, and I'm pretty much going to do.
And so your commitment was 10 pages a week, and you thought, I'll get to that 10 pages by doing approximately 2 pages a day.
Right.
And if I don't do those, if I don't follow through on that goal, then I'm writing 10 pages, on Saturday.
Exactly. And
Okay.
like, if I have an audition come up or I have different things, because I write, I guess my point of this book thing was, how do I get everything done? I just for 6 months, I just wrote, 6 months is how long it took me to do like the first draft to get like an actual manuscript. But I only wrote for like between 20 and 40 minutes a day. That's just not that much time. It's not like, oh, how could you write a book and do these other things? I'm like, it's only 40 minutes a day. It's
Right.
not that big of a deal.
Right. Everybody has different writing styles, though. Some people sequester themselves and write, for a week straight and do nothing else. I
Sure.
couldn't do that. And obviously it doesn't work with your lifestyle. But it's nice to know that folks listening, if you want to write a book, you can do it in 40 minutes a day.
Yeah.
You can. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you are. It's funny that you said you're really into systems. That was actually one of the things I had on my list to ask you about, which is you're probably one of the most organized, systematic people I know, which is incredible. And I'd love to have you share sort of kind of what your systems look like. What are your grounding rituals? What are your non-negotiables?
It all comes back to, and everybody talks about this. Everybody that I listen to talks about this, so it's not new. But the morning ritual, right? So
Yep.
for me, that's the key for me to get focused, to get clear, to get inspired, to have the energy, all that stuff. So just briefly, I wake up, I listen to content for about 30 minutes while I'm like, getting ready, shaving my head, washing my face, that kind of stuff. And then I have this vocal exercise routine thing that I do. And then I write down 10 to 20 things that I'm grateful for. And then I write, what are the primary 3 things that I'm up to today that if I got nothing else done, it would be these 3 things. And then I do 10 to 20 things I'm grateful for. And then I spend between 5 and 20 minutes in meditation and prayer. And then I run, and then I work out. I got a park by my house that I run to the park. And I just got an outdoor, stuff. And then I either run home, or if I'm working on a script, I will narrate the script. I'll walk home and narrate the script out loud with all my different character thoughts. So that's my morning, and then I come home and have breakfast. That is about a 2-ish hour routine that gets me completely focused and centered and excited about my day.
I love that. There were so many things in there. First of all, I love how you just level everything up just a little. Your 10 to 20 gratitude practice, I'm not sure how much you've been following what I've been up to, but I published 2 books on gratitude this year, and they're gratitude journals. And I work with all of the clients that I work with. We talk about gratitude. And sometimes I'll say to them, let's list, 3 or 5 things, but every once in a while I'll say 10, and they go, 10? You can come up with 10. And then there's you. You're like, well, 10 to 20. And I just, I love it. And I can see that about you. You just sort of take what everybody else considers to be putting their all in and stretch it. It's amazing.
Yeah. That extra bit makes the difference for me. And it's not that much more time. Like this morning I wrote, I think I'd have to go back and look, but I think 15 to 17 this morning. And normally it is closer to 20, but it probably took me 3 minutes, 5 minutes. And it doesn't have to be deep. It doesn't have to be, I'm in my closet. I have like a closet, and I close the door, and that's where I do like my meditation and prayer. And so one of them is always like, I have awesome clothes, and I'm excited about that because I'm literally just like looking at them. You know what I mean? It could be just small stuff.
That's great.
And then it's also like an amazing wife. It's big things, small things. It's just whatever comes to mind.
Absolutely. I love that. And I love the idea that there's always so much to be grateful for. And it's like anything else that we do. And I love that we can use gratitude as an example. You go, 10 of them, that's too hard. Well, that's everything in life, but it isn't actually that hard if you can stop thinking it's too hard and just start writing it out or doing the thing, it's not so bad, right?
Yeah.
The other thing you said that completely cracked me up, because it probably just flew over the heads of everybody listening. He's talking about his morning routine. You listen to your whatever your content is while you're shaving your head.
Yeah.
which you did because it best fit the roles you're trying to get as an actor, right?
Yeah, I wasn't booking that much, but I had been training for years. Like even now, my main thing that I do with my time, my big bulk of time, because only I could do this. I'm going to put a pin in that for 1 second and then just answer another question you had. So like with Superior Singing Method and most of the other things I create, I've actually got another product I'm about to launch. A lot of with the businesses that I do, the key for me is batching. I spend a lot of time, you've heard this, but I spend a lot of time doing something for a while, only what I could do. And then I've got a bunch of employees and assistants and business partners that I pass it off to, and then I go on to the next thing. Okay, so now back to the acting thing. The acting thing is, I can't have my assistant go to acting class for me, right? Like I have to physically be present to become a better actor. So most of my time spent these days, I would say a minimum of 20 to 30 hours a week, is training as an actor or auditioning or working on set, because that only I could do those things, and the other things I could pass off once I get them past the point of I don't have to be there anymore.
Yeah. I love that so much because, just because you can do everything doesn't mean you should do everything.
No.
And that reminder to folks listening, do the things that only you can do, and then delegate the rest or allow other people in to support you, because people like to support other people. It feels good. And also, it's some people's jobs. You talked about, assistants and business partners and whatnot. So that is such a valuable takeaway for everybody. Do what only you can do, and then spread the love a little bit and not overwhelm yourself.
Yeah. Like what are you worth per hour? Decide what that is, and don't do anything that's less than that per hour, and get an assistant. You can get an assistant for $15, $20, $25 an hour, something like that. It doesn't have to be a 40 hours a week. Get one for 3 hours a week or 5 hours a week or something, and let them do that work, and they'd be happy to have the work, and then it frees you up to do
Absolutely.
You can do.
One of my favorite things you've ever said to me, it cracked me up so much, is you disliked social media so much that literally watching TV was a better use of your time than doing social media. So you have somebody to do your social media. It's amazing.
That sounds about right.
Totally cracked me up. How did you, with such a creative, artistic background, how did you end up coaching?
How did I end up coaching? Always growing up, I was the guy that people would come to for advice and counseling. Like even just like when I was really young, like even in like, junior high, middle school, whatever, and high school. And certainly after that, I was just always that guy. And then, so I had a mentor. I thought he was a mentor because that's kind of what he was at first, became a coach. And then working with him, in the first year of working with him, I was introduced to this transformational framework, and my life changed so radically. It was like I went from like paycheck to paycheck to making, 6 figures. And I went from a stagnant dating relationship to like this really fun, adventurous marriage. And I went from not pursuing my dream of acting at all, only dreaming about it, which that's my big thing. I like to kill people's dreams, but, and turn them into a project. But, and then to really, I was just on a Marvel show a couple of weeks ago, and I've been on a Fox show and on Amazon, and I've been on like a bunch of like fun things now. And anyway, so after that happened, I was like, what is this black magic? And it was like it was the transformational framework. And so from there, I was so like obsessed with it, and so I started like reading tons of books and just getting like I'm very obsessive and nerdy by nature, and so I got super obsessed with it. And then my coach was like, you should take on clients. And I found that I really, really, really loved helping and inspiring people, and realized that my my umbrella goal of my whole life is to inspire people to be the best they can be while I'm being the best that I can be. And part of like acting and pursuing my dreams and writing books and even my superior singing method, teaching people how to sing, it's all under the same framework of wanting people to reach their dreams, inspiring them to reach whatever dreams they have. So coaching them became a very hands-on way to help people do that, whereas superior singing method was a hands-on way to help people reach their singing dreams. Coaching was like any dream that you have. While I'm terrified and going after my own dreams, let's do this together. Not that I've done this and be like me. It's like, hey, we're in this together, but let's do it.
I love that. I love it so much. You know, you're probably one of, in the business arena, the most giving individuals I've ever met. When I met you and we met at a conference, and first of all, I knew, I tell this story actually all the time. I thought I wanted to coach. I know you've heard it before, but the listeners maybe haven't heard it. I thought I wanted to coach, and people will come out and they would say, oh, it's going to cost $200 a month, or it's going to do whatever. I'd be like, what? I'm not spending that kind of money. You're crazy. And then I was at this conference and you got up there, I just felt you right away. And I imagine a number of your clients come to you that way. There's just something about your energy. But I think we're all like that. Like people either get your energy or they don't get your energy.
Yeah.
And my partner was with me. And I said, that's my guy right there. She goes, what do you mean? I was like, that's the guy. That's the coach. I need the guy. And so we started talking right away. And he told me how much it was. And it was way, way, way more than I'd ever imagined spending. And I hung up the phone and my partner said, well, what are you going to do? I said, I guess I'm going to figure out where to get this money. I don't, I had to have you. But you said to me, I can teach you to do what I do. And I said, okay. And then you literally just gave it to me. Well, here's the copy of the email I sent. Here's my stuff. Here are the questions I ask. And you gave me so much more than I think anybody else ever would have. I don't know. I can't imagine. And I will say that I try to pay that forward as much as possible. I have a couple of clients who I'm working with who are building coaching practices, and I'm always so honored to be able to pass on things that you passed on to me. So thank you.
No, I love that. I love that. Generosity is a huge part of, it's a huge value for me and my wife. It's something that we're again kind of obsessed with. There are a couple of like ancient proverbs that as a kid I learned that have always been a driving force for me. One is, one person gives freely yet gains even more. Another withholds unduly becomes to poverty. So that's one. And then another one says, a generous person will prosper. The one who refreshes others will be refreshed. And I just took those seriously, and I've just found that to be so true, that I can't outgive God, the universe, whatever people believe. I can't outgive it without it just coming back 5 or 10-fold. I can't. I've tried.
I love it. I love it so much. And I am so grateful for everything that you've given to me. I love the energy you give out to the whole world. If y'all want to follow really inspiring social media platform, you should make sure you're following Aaron on Instagram, because you just give out so much value all the time. And I know that it's so easy to tell when somebody does it from their heart and not because they're trying to make some money. You once told me that money is a byproduct of service.
Yeah, I still believe that.
Yeah, I love that. What has been the most fun thing you've ever done professionally?
What is the most fun thing I've ever done professionally? Gosh, I think I have a couple like different contenders. I mean, as a kid, I used to watch movies with my mom, and like I was always like in the back of my mind, I always had this like idea of like, man, acting would be the greatest thing in the world. And like, it was, the idea of shooting something on a big studio like Paramount or the Fox lot or like these big lots was just like, it seemed completely unattainable, which is why I didn't pursue it at all in my 20s and even, my early 30s. I just didn't pursue it at all because I thought it would be impossible. I just lived in that story, didn't even realize I was living in that story, so I just didn't pursue it. And so recently being able to, I said I was on this Marvel's Runaway. It's called Marvel's Runaways. It just aired a couple.
You got me obsessed with that show, by the way. I only started watching it because of you, but you're in season 3 and I had to start at season 1. So
Doing that, and then I was on a Fox show called 911, this past year or two, and being able to work on the big Fox lot and be able to work on the Paramount lot it was so surreal. I was just like a kid at Disneyland, just being like, I can't believe this is my life, and being associated with these really big brands that I love, that like the Paramount, and it's just that's probably one of the most fun. But recently, just to talk a little bit about Superior Singing Method, I'm so excited about Superior Singing Method right now. It's something I created like 10, 12 years ago, and it's been great. I'm we have like a big YouTube presence of like 500,000 subscribers.
That's
and
crazy.
Like 50 million views or something like that. And crazy.
Which we should side note and say, the first time you put this out, it was an epic failure.
It was... I don't think it's worthy of even being a failure. I think you have to have at least one sale in order for it to be a failure. No, it was epic. Worked on it for about 2 years and launched it, and it literally, we didn't get a single sale, but so let me talk a little bit about this MVP thing, because this really bugs me in this day and age, this idea of like all the tech, the minimum viable product, you just do the minimum viable thing. It's a smart idea, but here's where I think it breaks down. So the idea of minimum viable product is like, you create something that just the bare bones, and you put it out in the world, and you see if people are going to bite. And if they do bite, then you work on all the rest, and then you launch it and you put all your resources into it. It's actually really smart, but here's where it breaks down is if people don't grab onto it, what people do is they start then let me start this new thing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, it's about consistency and tenacity and like pushing forward. At least everything that I've been measurably successful at is because I'm like a dog with a bone. I just will not let it go. And so after those 2 years, I was like, I still think this thing could be successful. So I spent an entire another year, rebranded it, refilmed it, I studied even more. I thought, what could be the hook for all this thing? And when we launched that, it was moderately successful for about a year or so. Let me see if I can get my years right. But in 2011, I think, Google released this algorithm called Panda, and it destroyed us. We had like 30 keywords at the top of the number one spot on Google: how to sing, singing tips, singing lessons for beginners, that kind of thing. And it put us on not spot 15, but page 15.
Ooh.
And so it completely like tanked our business. And then we were like, what are we going to do? So we're like, well, let's try YouTube. It's 2011. YouTube had been around for a minute, but it wasn't what it is today. And so anyway, that platform just absolutely took off for us. So what I'm saying I'm excited about now is we were like $1 million business for about a decade. Like it's a great business. That's great. But in the past 6 to 8 months, we're on track this year to be minimum a $10 million business.
That's incredible.
We've scaled this thing so massively with our new, marketing team and new stuff. So what's so fun about that is that people are reaching their dreams. That's first and foremost. But what's also so fun about it is there's nothing gets me more excited than putting a little bit of effort into something and getting a massive return.
Yeah.
And so at this point, once we've created this platform, because for about 8 years I didn't hardly do anything for it, do a few YouTube videos here and there, but like now to do a little bit of effort and watch this thing scale in a way that is life-changing that's just a fun thing for me.
That's a really exciting. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I keep thinking my 2 older daughters sing, and they do voice lessons and they're in musical theater. And I keep thinking I should get them into your program because they're kids. They love YouTube, first of all.
Yeah.
I don't watch anything on YouTube, but I keep thinking I should do that.
If you send me an email address for them or one that they use through you or whatever, I just need an email address to set up an account, maybe 2 separate ones for them. I'll be more than happy to sign you up for free. You're
so sweet. Well, we'll do that. That'll be fun.
Cool.
They'll get a kick out of that. So yeah, you've done so many fun things. I'm curious though, you have such a positive outlook all the time. What's the biggest struggle for you?
What's the biggest struggle for me? It's funny because so many people that I know tell me I have such a positive outlook, and it's true, I do, but the biggest thing I've struggled with over the years is pessimism. Is like, if you ask my wife, she'll tell you in a heartbeat. In fact, I think I wrote this in one of my books. I asked my wife, I was like, do you think I'm like an optimist or a pessimist? Just getting some feedback. There wasn't even like a breath in between. Like, as soon as the words came out of my mouth, she just said pessimist. Like, it was just like
crazy to me.
It's so obvious to her. And this was some years ago, but I always thought that I was a realist, but that was just my euphemism for, just my excuse for pessimism. So my biggest struggle over the years and even now, which is like the morning routine isn't like, hey, I'm just going to do this and I think this will be a good thing for me to do. It was in an answer to my tyrannical negative thoughts that I wake up with in the morning.
Yeah.
And it's to combat those and to get me on the track that's going to help me to create the life that I want to create. So the I'm not enough and I don't have what it takes, those have probably been the biggest struggles of my life. And not to say that I've completely, it just depends when you catch me.
Yeah. But the systems you've put in place, like your morning routine, are specifically designed to quiet those voices.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And one of my books is called The Voice of Your Dreams, and that's all about limiting voices. So there are a lot of things, like a lot of strategies that I do. That's why I like the systems I've set. Like that, my morning routine is a series of systems that combat that, and it's pretty successful in combating that if I'm consistent with those things.
I love that. Will there be a third book?
There will be. I have an idea. In fact, it's along these lines. Don't quote me on this, but I keep threatening that I'm gonna write a book on consistency, about the tortoise and the hare type of thing, of like just slowly and keep going, like tenacity. This thing of, it's not about like trying to race into your future. It's just about consistently doing things over time. And you look back, it's like I just wrote 2 pages a day, and 6 months later I look back, I'm like, oh wow, I've got a manuscript.
You should do it.
Something like that I will do, and I feel like it's really counterculture. But the reason I haven't written a book in the last couple of years is because I'm working on a television pilot. So I've been working consistently on this television pilot for a couple years. So I'm excited about that.
That's exciting. I can't wait. I know there's no moment of doubt in me that it's going to be big, and it's going to get produced. It's going to be big, and I'm flying to wherever you're having your opening party. I will be there. Make sure I'm on the list. I believe in you so much.
I really appreciate that. I'm excited. That thing, at this point in my life, that thing is the hardest for me to believe in. And you have no idea. Like, I'll avoid writing that thing like for 3 weeks at a time, sometimes 2 months at a time, because of my limiting voices. So, but I'm at a good pace now. I'm on draft 29. Believe it or not. Holy
shit! Wow. But let's sit there with that for a second. You avoid it so much. It's been my experience, and probably because you taught me this, that we avoid it because it's the thing that you most want, and you're too afraid of it not succeeding, so it's easier to not do it at all.
Right. That's 100% what it is. Like, why am I doing this? Am I wasting my time? Is this ever going to happen? I'm not a writer. I am a writer, but you know what I mean? I'm not a TV writer, or, you know what I mean? There's just a million things, but it's at a place where I really like it. I've done tons of rounds of feedback with a lot of writer friends. And I've actually got a buddy, probably shouldn't say his name, but he's done some really big shows that people have heard of, and he's been mentoring me, and that's been really helping. And so
that's awesome.
I'm really close to having this thing where I want. In fact, the book that I'm reading right now is a book on how to pitch TV shows, because I'm getting pretty close to that.
Yeah, that's
stage.
exciting. What would you say if you look back on your life? What has been the biggest pleasant surprise? Super unexpected, but really wonderful.
Marriage, probably.
I knew you were going to say that.
Did you really?
I did.
I love that you knew that, because I didn't know that until it came out of my mouth. That's so good.
I did.
I think it's been marriage. It's been 2 things. Marriage first. The second one was money's easier to make than I thought. like I grew up very, 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 very poor, and I had that poverty scarcity mindset the majority of my certainly my youth and my early adulthood. But yeah, first marriage, I'm such an achiever. I'm so driven that I always thought marriage would like drag me down. And what I tell my wife, there's so many things. We've been married for, it'll be 7 years, about 6.5 years, been together almost 11 years in February. And there's so many things I love about my wife. I can again do a whole podcast series on just how much I love her and what I love about her. But one of the kind of key turning points for me was I realized that she's not just smart. She's very smart, but it wasn't that. It was for her. I realized that she had a view of the world that I didn't have. It was this intuitive view, and almost like she could just saw things in a way that I didn't. And I thought, oh my gosh, I could actually maybe go further, faster with this woman than I could otherwise, which was like such a mind F at the time. Right now, it makes total sense, but at the time, I was just like, I don't have to sacrifice, achieving my dreams, when I get married. And not only that, this could even make it better. It was such a pleasant surprise. And marriage has just been amazing for me. I highly recommend it.
I love that. I'll tell you why I knew that you were going to say that, because I've heard you speak before about how you were like super anti-marriage. Like, no way, I don't want to do that.
Totally.
And almost your amazing, beautiful, badass wife almost like walked, right? And you were like, wait, hold on.
Yeah.
So that was my gut instinct. So I love that you said that.
Yeah.
You and I have had, over the course of the last several years, multiple conversations about celebration. And in fact, you said to me once that you thought celebration was a lost art. Mm-hmm. And I'd love to know how you celebrate both big and small wins in your day, and big ones, and then also little ones that happen throughout your day.
Yeah. One thing, and it feels like a small thing, but it's like such a life-giving thing for me, is like, my wife is very, talk about positive. Like if my positivity level is, let's say, like an 8 or 9, hers is like an 11, because she's so positive and like so amazing that way. But when, I remember like the last thing that I booked, it was a couple episodes on a show that hasn't come out yet. And when I found out that I booked that, we're in my office space, and which is also the cat room, my 2 cats in here. And I told her, and then she just got so excited and started jumping up and down, and I started jumping up and down, and we're like jumping up and down together, and we're just so excited. And like that's one way, like a small way that we celebrate is like, in fact, the other day I just told her, because we've been trying to, my business partners and I for Superior Singing Method have been talking about doing this vocal spray for singers. We've been talking about it for about a year. The concept we got very quickly. We got the branding, the name, the everything. So we did so much in about 3 days when I was visiting out there in Boulder. And then it's been about a year since then to kind of work everything out. And it looks like we're going to launch that thing. I don't know exactly when, but probably within the next month or two at most.
Awesome.
And so same thing, this was just yesterday, and she's like jumping and like punching the air and just like so excited. It's just like, so there's that kind of celebration. But then other than that, our celebrations are pretty simple. We when something happens, we go out to a really nice dinner and we talk about it and talk about what we're excited about it and what we're grateful about and who we have to thank that it came about. So that those would be kind of like the regular day-to-day things.
I love those. I'm a big dance party fan, but I can absolutely picture you, Martha, like jumping up and down and pumping your hands in the air. There's so much gift in that. I hope everybody will try that the next time you have this win, because this sounds silly. When my kids were little, they went to a progressive school. My littlest ones still do, and they would do math by putting a chalk number line on the concrete, and they would get a sheet of math questions, right? And they would answer them by, 1 + 2 = 3, right? And you would jump, you would physically jump. So where I'm going with this is when you put that physical motion with the thought and the mental stuff, it sticks and it gets you so much more involved in what you're experiencing.
Yeah, it's true.
I love that. That's really, really fun. Aaron, if you could give listeners one piece of advice on how to embrace their fears and follow their dreams, and you're full of advice, so this is a challenge for you, but one really good piece of advice, what would it be?
Of how to, embrace their dreams.
He didn't get this question in advance, listeners.
The first thing I think when I think of with the fears is that fears are not real. They feel real, but they're not actually real. So we're contending with something that doesn't actually exist in time and space. And more importantly, there's almost never any fear in the present moment. It feels like it and you're sweating and there's all that stuff, but almost 100% of the time, our fears are in the future. It's a projected thing that's in the future. Or this is going to happen, or this is not going to happen, or maybe this, or what if that. And so getting present about what's going on right now is something that I think is really helpful, which I know is not super new. But the embracing your dreams part is, for me, setting aside that fear and saying, if I didn't have this fear, what would I do? And just doing that thing by rote for a while. And that's how I start my systems. So my systems are, okay, if I weren't afraid about this at all, if I already knew I was going to be the #1 box office star in all of Hollywood, how would I act and what would I do? And then I just set the system in place. And whether I feel like it or not, I just do that thing or those things every day. I don't even have to do it for 1,000,000 hours. I just do it every day and a little bit every day. So that's really how I take my dreams, kill my dreams, turn them into a project, then turn them into a system, and just follow the system like a soldier. And then eventually you just look back and you've accomplished more than you ever thought or imagined.
I love that. I miss you. We used to talk every week, and now we haven't talked for several months. So yeah, thank you. That was awesome. Well, the last question that I get to ask, which is one of my favorites, and it's a crowning piece of the Brave Files podcast. We so much believe in giving back. Is what is your favorite charitable organization to support?
Yeah, I've got a few. There's one called GAP. It's GAP, GAP, because I believe so much in the transformational framework. GAP is a nonprofit organization that does trainings in the transformational framework, and
cool.
that's where I experienced so much transformation. And also they do a ton of outreach stuff. Like, for example, one of the things that we just contributed to that we're really excited about is something that's going on in Rwanda. In Rwanda, it's very different. With marriages are very different, and how men are allowed to treat women and it's acceptable to treat women is very different than here. And they, even with abuse and all that stuff is looked on in certain regions as normative, fine, and all that stuff. And so there's a woman who started a safe house. It's the first safe house for women out there where they could get out of these abusive situations and have somewhere safe to go. So that's something through GAP that they've done that we contribute to. So that's something I'm really excited about. I could go on because there are a lot of things, but that's the most recent.
Okay, that's wonderful. So they'll be our charity of the week. We'll make sure that they know that you gave them the love. And listeners, as I always ask, check them out, right? See if there's something you can do to be supportive of it, whether it's time or money or Facebook shares or letting other people know it exists. We want to make the world stronger and better. And this is the way we do this, is by supporting one another and the things that we're doing to put good energy out into the world. So thanks for sharing them, Aaron.
Yeah.
Aaron, will you share your 3 words with us one last time?
Yeah. Adventurous, fun, and scary.
I love all of it. They feel so authentic to you for me. Share with our listeners, though, because adventurous and fun, I think everyone gets that. Share a little bit about why you chose the word scary.
I always want to be pursuing something that scares me because, as we talked about before, the things that I'm most afraid of are probably the things that I want most deepest to my core, and probably are the things that I need the most for my own personal development. So if I'm not doing something that scares me, I'm probably not quite locked into my deepest wants and desires.
That's awesome. Do something every day that scares you, folks. That is fantastic. Aaron, I can't thank you enough for spending time with me. You're obviously, as we've discussed, an incredibly busy human doing wonderful things. So thank you so much for being here. And thank you for believing in me and giving me all the tools and resources I needed to go out and build a show like this and be supportive for people. Thank you.
I mean, it's my pleasure. Look what you've done with it. I mean, did I pick the right person or what?
You're sweet. You are so sweet. Well, y'all, I have exciting news for you. I actually have an autographed copy of Aaron's book, Your Prosperous Mind. And so I would like to give one away. So the first person that calls us at 312-646-0205 and tells us what you most loved about this interview will receive this copy. So call again, 312-646-0205. Share what you loved most about this interview, and you will get an autographed copy of Your Prosperous Mind. You can also call the number and just tell us anything you want. How are you out choosing bravely? What do you want to see in the show? That's a great way to connect with us. And while we're talking about it, it's a great time to remind you about our Patreon page. We've created this wonderful, incredible Brave movement. And in order to keep it going strong, we need you to be part of this movement. So head on over to patreon.com/bravefiles and find a level that works for you, because the world needs you to live big, and we need your support to keep our mission of helping others leverage their fear into intentional bravery. So I love you all. I'm grateful that you were here. Thank you for listening. This is Heather Vickery reminding you today and always to go out and choose bravely. The Brave Files is proudly supported by Audible. If you enjoy listening to podcasts, you're sure to love listening to your favorite books on Audible. Get your free 30-day trial complete with a credit for a free audiobook download today simply by visiting audibletrial.com/thebravefiles. Again, that's visiting audibletrial.com/thebravefiles. You've been listening to The Brave Files, stories from people living courageously. To learn more about the show, find our show notes, or get some great bonus content, visit thebravefilespodcast.com. And we'd love to know what you think. You can give us a call at 312-646-0205. Let us know your thoughts on the episode, the show in general, or maybe share with us how you're out choosing bravely. This episode is brought to you by Vickery & Co. Success Coaching, coaching that helps you maintain a life well lived and a business well run. Learn more at vickeryandco.com. Our music is produced by Matt Lewis. Follow him on Instagram at mattmmusic or visit his website, theunionband.com. We couldn't do any of this without our extraordinary audio engineer, Andrew Olson. Learn more about him and check out his work at findandrewolson.com. And special thanks to our associate producer, Kim Statler. I'm your host and executive producer, Heather Vickery. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll talk to you next week.